start this video with a little introduction to tell you what I've been up to and what I've produced. So you can see from the visuals here that I've created a really nice open front to the house using the big kind of gable end inspired by some of the images that you sent me. And I think it presents a nice open frontage to the house, and you can see on the floor plans how I've created some nice open spaces within the house, and I'll explain those later in the video. There's a nice extension at the back, and then a double height space and an open stair leading through to the front of the house, where there's a veranda that sort of splits the ground floor element of the house with the upper level terrace, and then your master bedroom sits within the big gable with glazing looking out over the sea. There would be an option, I think, for a within that roof up at the top there for some sort of upper level, a second floor level. I've not looked at that at this stage, but we've certainly sort of thought about it within the overall roof forms. There are issues with fire escape and things with the open ground floor plan. If you go upper levels, so there are things we'd have to kind of work through, but none of it's insurmountable. And in terms of the images, they look sort of photorealistic, but they're sketches. So things like the landscaping is sort of just indicative, really, just to give a sense of the building in its place. It's not meant to be a finalised design. And there's a number of different options, a nighttime shot, and then a few different materials, just to give you a sense of how that overall form could work. And the idea, I think, is that the right-hand side is a sort of more dominant gable end with plenty of glass, and then the left-hand side sort of sits back a little bit. There's a little lower key, sort of less glazing, slightly cheaper, I suppose, in the sense there's less glass, and just to try and balance up where you sort of spend the budget. There's a nice terrace across the front. And I think overall, it looks good. So I'm pretty happy with it. Hope you like it. Hopefully it provokes some questions and responses to something. I mean, it is the beginning of a process, so this is a first go at it. But yeah, hopefully you like what you see. Thanks. So overall, my thinking is for the ground floor is to extend at the back probably by up to about 4 meters, which I've looked at the planning drawings of next door, and that's what they've extended on the back. So something like that's going to be fairly easy. You can do 4 meters, in fact, providing that back wall's the original back wall in 1948 without planning. Not that it necessarily matters, because the rest of it you will need planning for. I'm then thinking that really using that sort of bit of wall in there as a sort of piece of structure within the house, that there's broadly a room there that you can kind of form into open plan kitchen, living, dining with sort of views out to the garden, maybe a sort of your picture window type here with a dining table here, and then perhaps some sort of larder space with a kitchen on this side, so it's sort of an island here and then larder here. I'm thinking that the best place for the entrance, where there are kind of 3 places for the entrance. There's 2 categories of that. One is at the front, and then the other is at the side. And obviously, you can come in at the side you're coming in, or you could come in on this side. I think for the sort of wow entrance that you mentioned in your sort of brief, front or right is going to be best for that. I think coming around this tighter side is best left for boots and that kind of stuff. So what I'm thinking as a sort of initial stab is that actually coming in on the side here would be best, which is sort of provides less circulation and then presents a sort of zone through the middle of the house here that gives you an entrance space. So we'd have a stair here, so when you come in you see a nice elegant open stair rising up, and then that leaves this sort of space here for boots and shower, downstairs toilet as a separate element, leaving you a study / spare bedroom here and a snug in this location with some sort of cloaks here, and then coming into that entrance hall. And then this gives you a nice sort of, I think, nice south facing sort of open hall sunroom that links through front to back with the house. And I think this space here with the stair within it could be a double height space right up to the underside of the roof, which ties in with what I'm sort of thinking on the top floor. So you could conversely come in the front here and come in through this hall. It's south, kind of broadly south facing. I'm thinking if you have a sort of veranda over the top of this space, it'll give you some sheltered space from the sun and from sitting outside when the weather's, when it's a bit wet or something like that. Verandas are kind of nice spaces to have, and that means that that space I think would actually be quite a nice sort of sunroom space separate from the snug. But equally it could be an entrance hall, and you could come in and you'd see the stair at the end and right through the garden, and in that case this could become a laundry room, linen room, something like that, off of that side, or you could flip boot room over to this side. So I think within the plan that I'll sort of draw up in a minute, there's some sort of flexibility along those lines. And then upstairs I sort of divided it into some sort of zones really. So downstairs I'm using should go back to that level. Downstairs I'm thinking to use the sort of, obviously the original structure. It's about 12 metres wide and, broadly 3 lots of 4. Upstairs, I think the master bedroom, thinking put that in the middle, needs to be a little wider than 4. So I'm getting that up to more like 5 metres through here. And that gives that sort of an element. And you'll see in the external views that that's a sort of pitch roof element that sits over this sort of side of the house. Means that you can have a master bedroom in here. The stair comes up through here. This is the open double height space, so the stair climbs up and you're looking down into the family room. You then get one bedroom there, obviously one there with its sort of closet and ensuite at the back with the views out. Some sort of terrace over the veranda all across the front, which could be stepped. Doesn't have to be the full width maybe, but I'm just going full width for now. So you've got 1, 2, 3 bedrooms here with en suites for the fourth one here, family bathroom in here, and then this room can be a 5th bedroom or a laundry linen space. By taking out that sort of double height space, obviously you use up a bit of the floor area. So I'm wondering whether it's either 5 good sized bedrooms. I mean, all these are good sized doubles, and that's very generous. You could put you've got the bedroom downstairs in the study, or you've got the bedroom over in the annex at the back of the garden. So this is sort of flexible, I think, this back corner. So that's the sort of the strategy, and then this terrace sort of sits over the veranda, which helps split the house. And where you've got the ground floor that you're kind of keeping as existing, I think the veranda will help divide the two, and not, you then don't have to kind of worry about trying to connect the two elements on the front of the house, which I think will become clear on the renders. So with that in mind, I think we're going to start with the back of the house. I think this is the kind of part of the house where you'll mostly do most of your living. And I'm keeping the entrance in this area here. So then we're going to put a chimney here, so the snug has a nice sort of fireplace to enter. So that becomes the snug at the front of the house. So the C is at the bottom of the page here. And then on the back, we'll have something here. We'll have a window just there, and then a larder space through here that sort of connects with some sort of timber screen through here. That the staircase would climb up. So when you come in the front door, you see this sort of open staircase through here. So you could walk under that bit, and this screen could be open so you could walk through under it as well. In here we'd have some sort of coats and boots and all that kind of stuff. This is your sort of front door in here with some sort of canopy porch. Not the same style as the other house I've done in Hillhead, but a similar sort of idea of a canopy coming out to you, and then that means we'll have a ladder across the back here, and then I think that can open into there. So that'll be a good space there for storage, and you can have your ovens and all that kind of stuff here. Then a nice big island in this location. I mean, you can have sinks and hobs on it, or your hob over here. It doesn't matter at this stage, really. There's lots of different options for that. I think this bit here would be opening sort of bifoldy or big sliding doors, and then this could be a picture window with a sort of window seat that sits with the table. So you get a good sort of table here that could be extendable, and have a window also here so you can sort of see out sideways, which I think helps the room. Then I think maybe the TV sort of space here would be quite good at the back of the room. You could have an L shape sofa in here. And then I'm thinking there's a stove, one of those sort of hanging stove things hanging in here, which is right on the edge of the double height space. The stove could either go up through it or up the outside wall. And this space is the space that's open to above. So this is where you get your height. And this bit on the back is single story, so the ceiling could be higher than the rest of the house. I wouldn't raise the ceilings in the rest of the house. I think you want to try and keep as much of that, I think, as possible. So I'd suggest that these space, I mean, they're not low ceilings, so I would suggest just keeping those because they are. That can be the study in there, which sort of looks out onto the veranda, which has some columns here, and then the veranda sort of overhangs, which is the terrace above. So you get a nice sunny spot under there, but also shaded and sheltered from the wind. And then this space, as it kind of does at the moment, it sort of sits back. I'd have some sort of French doors in there. I mean, this could be your entrance. I'm kind of just going to draw one version, but you can imagine the entrance coming in here as well, and this space being some other sort of utility space on the side. And then in here, I think you'd end up with sort of a downstairs loo where the doors are tucked away, so it's not the first thing you see when you come in the door. More storage for wetsuits and all that kind of stuff in there. Probably water tanks as well could go in that one end of that space. You could then either keep the existing porch. I mean, it's not really going to fit with the overall aesthetic, but it would need dressing up a bit. But you could keep that as it is. Well, not as it is, but you know what I mean, as an entrance lobby. And then that gives you this chance to have a nice sort of wet room space across the back of here. So all your drainage is kind of in one area then. And that's supposed to be a basin, funny shape. And you get a good space here. You can have a bench here, take your shoes off and have hooks on the wall. Place for kids stuff in there, and then that door just sits in there. So when you come in the front door, you don't see doors and routes into sort of back of house stuff. You could have water tanks in here. You could have water tanks. It's just making sure there is space for sort of plant. Then you could have a desk in here, and you could have your pull-out bed thing on the back wall, maybe. And then this becomes a fireplace here. You could have a Got an armchair in here. It's not a massive room, but I think that's the point of a snug, isn't it? That it's a bit smaller and darker than the rest of the rooms. You could have French doors open out onto there, but I'm not drawing them in this version. And then I think here, I imagine this is a sort of full glass screen, sort of a sofa or a small chair here, and another chair here, and this just being a sort of sunny spot to sit when it's windy outside, get a view out, and just means that the living space of the house at the back sort of feels like it's connected with the front, and you haven't got this kind of division between the two. I imagine this would all be sort of tiled all through here, or you could tile all of this front area and then have timber flooring across the back. You could have a door, you could have a sliding door in here that would just sort of slide back out the way. But generally, I'm thinking this space is all nice and open. And providing you stick to 2 floors, it's all quite easy. The minute you go up on the roof or in the loft, then all this open space requires sprinklers throughout the house and other sort of fire systems. So I think that's the sort of ground floor. Obviously, the boundary is down here, and you'd have a view from the kitchen out. So I think there'd be some sort of planting going on in this location to sort of block that view, or put something on that view on the boundary. You've got a view from the dining table out, which I think is quite nice. And you could have, although I'm not convinced it would be essential, but you could have roof lights. And next door I've got those sort of long ones. You could have some sort of roof lights over the top of these 3 spaces. You get another one over the top of the dining room. You'd have light coming in from this double height space, because that go right up into the roof, into the apex roof. You see on the visuals, you can kind of see how that from the front, with that roof form, would carry all the way through to the front of the house. So that's the ground floor. So the first floor uses the existing back wall of the house, so it doesn't extend any further. That way, it essentially takes up the footprint of the bulk of the house. I mean, let's just draw on the one below. The main sort of front of the house is through here. So I'm extending a little bit for that veranda and coming out over the top of it. And as I sort of said in the little intro bit explaining the overall strategy, I think this space in the middle here would be wider than what's below. And this would be the master bedroom. And then you'd have a sort of second bedrooms, just trying to keep it symmetrical. Not for any reason other than that sort of just gives it a bit of order. And that wall sort of carries on through. And I think then there's a sort of opening in that side of the wall, just so there's a bit of a view across there. This bedroom doesn't feel too enclosed, and then that would have a window in here. We'd have another bedroom in the back here with a view over the garden. So there's a little window in that corner, a door into that ensuite. So these are just standard en-suites as of 1200 by 800 shower, a basin and a toilet, probably better with the toilet next to the shower tray. And then this bedroom then sits in here, so they're all usable as doubles, even if you sort of furnish them as kids' rooms with single beds. And this room also provides a potential for a route through onto the terrace, so the bed could go over on this side. I've probably drawn that bed a little bit too small that way. So you'd have a sort of bed in there, and then the terrace sits across front sitting over the veranda, and would have a sort of solid base up to about um, there's a sort of open window there, window without glass. The terrace would have a solid balustrade up to about 1/2 metre, and then the other 600 mil, or so you need them to be 1.1 metres to meet building regs, would be glass. So that means you get that little bit of privacy when you're looking up from the road, but you also, when you're sat down, you can sort of see, you can see through it. Now, maybe the terrace doesn't need to be this big, and as I said in the other bit, it could be, we could cut it out here, but in this sort of initial sketch design, I'll just show it going all the way across, and then this wall here sort of does the same as the other side. And I have a bit of a wall here, windows here, so you get another bedroom here, and a bathroom in here. And I'm just drawing a 5-bed up here for now, but I think there is a version to have one I did earlier. You could rearrange this side so that you had a single bedroom up here, a linen laundry room, a family bathroom, and a slightly smaller bedroom. Or you could take out a bedroom up here, put it either downstairs in the study or outside in the annex, and then that gives you a bit more room down this side for your sort of linen space. So there's a bit of thought needs to be given to those kind of things, but I'm just trying to give you an overall feel for it rather than solve every single sort of layout problem. But right, and then this space in the back, that would be glass, that wall there, and you'd have a double height space looking down onto the kitchen, living family room. So looking down onto this space, this double height space goes all the way through, and the flue for the fire comes up the middle, so you might have a sort of element of solid wall there. So the stair is landing here and comes up from below, and then you've got a landing round here, and I think just sort of put the door to the master bedroom in here. It wouldn't be quite as narrow as that, just my fat lines. And then you can either have the door to the sort of bathroom, and this one would be a bit more generous, and the others big walk-in shower. Not sure there's enough room for a bath as well in there. If that's something you'd wanted, we'd have to certainly incorporate it. Some people have a bath at the end in the bedroom there, but I'm not sure how much it ever gets used personally. I think it's a bit of an Instagram thing, but each to their own. So it certainly has enough room there. That can be a good walk-in closet. So you'd come through into that nice room across the front with access onto the terrace with some sort of door type thing from there. And so that has a sort of thickness to it, that wall, because that's thing. Now the roof overhangs a bit, so in the visuals you can see that sort of big roof form sits over here. The chimney is somewhere here for the snug below, and also I think is quite a nice feature on the outside of the building. So when you come up the stairs, you can go across the bathroom, go into the master bedroom, into these rooms. To get to the terrace, you could come through this room if you didn't want to come through the master bedroom, if you were sort of entertaining. So that's something to think about with these first floor terraces, is how do you get to it? And you could make a sort of corridor through here and reduce the size of that bedroom if you wanted to sort of do that. You could have an external stair. I noticed next door I've got an external stair, so a few different options to get access from this central space to the front becomes quite difficult, and then you can end up putting the stairs and all the circulation at the front to provide access to this, but then you've got a long way to get back to the rest of the house. So the most efficient, and I think the most sort of beautiful in terms of how the stair works internally, is to have the stair broadly central. So I think that sums that up really in terms of the two levels. So we've got the ground floor. I'm not sure they both sort of fit on the screen at the same time. Let's try and line them up a little bit. It's that way around. So bigger at the front. So just to recap, come in the entrance here, nice open stair up, lands up here. This double height space sort of sits in the centre of the house. We get nice high ceilings. You could have nice high ceilings at the back here. Larder in the back here. If you didn't want a larder, this could all just become part of this sort of back of house room, and you could get your linen room or stroke laundry room up there. Through into this open plan space, fireplace here that runs up with a flue, just an external flue out of here. I imagine that would be one of those sort of hovering fires, and you can have some sort of nice armchairs sort of around that space. The kitchen island can have seating for dinner or breakfast around it. Then you're going to come through into this sort of entrance hallway, which provides a nice link from front to back in the house and provides usable space, although it's kind of open and multi-use. The alternative is this becomes the entrance through the house, and then you use this side as as some other function, some sort of back of house type utility type space. Personally, I prefer the side entrance just because I think when you come in, I think that'll be more interesting to see the stair that way, and this becomes sort of a private space, which means that you can kind of landscape. I'm drawing down here. Landscape through here, and the front garden becomes a sort of private area. The cars can park a bit further forward, so this sort of zone becomes sort of a private space with the cars in here, and entrance and visitors is then up the side, up the driveway. And then upstairs we've got the 4 bedrooms, which I think can be used flexibly as different things, as sort of highlighted with this sort of version here, where you can have a laundry room up there and reduce the size of the bedroom, or completely lose 1 bedroom here and move it outside and move it to the annex and create laundry space up there. And then these are the images generated of the design. As I said in the intro video, they look kind of real, but they are sketches. So landscape and things is sketched in. But you can see here the veranda space across the front, looking through. You can see right through to the back of the house. That's the snug. That's the study. And then upstairs, you're sort of sat behind this screen. Gives a bit of privacy into the main bedroom, second bedroom, and then the other part of the building with the chimney up the side. So that's a sort of white render with timber cladding type of option. You could have a sort of stone chimney perhaps, and then a sort of more monolithic, I suppose, maybe a rendered option. But in this option, the veranda balcony just overhangs a little bit more, which I think adds a nice sort of shadow, that sort of slab running around the house, and then the entrance tucked in the side. Obviously the landscape's a little bit different to that, but it's kind of difficult to put it in its place at this early stage, but it gives a sense, I think. And then something a little lighter, perhaps, lighter render with a stone chimney, the pitch roof running up over the top. More of a timber option, so this one I've just blocked in the houses next door just to give a sense of the sort of enclosure that you've got with the drive coming up the side. And then this could be a timber clad version, or one could go down the sort of super white look, or a timber with white render and then the grey windows, more of a sort of grey type of feel, and then the good mix of timber and sort of render. I think this person looks quite nice. Similar idea, and just playing with that, how that veranda at the front could overhang with a terrace sort of projects over the front and just creates that sunny space across the front. And I think, although the cars I imagine would drive in here, I think having the entrance on the side, I'll point this out in the sort of floor plan part of the video, that having the entrance on the side keeps this front space kind of private as a front garden. So the cars come in here or go out the side, and the entrance is here, and then you've not got people. I mean, I know you haven't got, it's not a museum, you've not got hundreds of people coming in, but deliveries and things, they go down there rather than sort of through this space in past the snug and that. And then a sort of nighttime view of those sort of front spaces. And I think that's space in the middle there could be quite a nice bright space that, as I say, connects through to the dining room and kitchen, living, dining at the back of the house. Just a little bit on areas. Broadly, the area is about the same as the initial sizes that I sent through to you. So I was sort of suggesting the top floor would be about 90.3, well, 90, let's stick to no decimal places, so 90 square metres, which actually it's worked out about that because that overall shape is 104, but you take out the double height space at 17 square metres. So when working out floor areas per a square metre rate, it's probably not far off those original areas. A double height space though isn't free, so it's still got still got walls and things within it. So I think we would probably up some of those rates that was stated earlier, but it's not a million miles away, I think is fair to say. In terms of overall budgets, I think complexities of roof, as I sort of said when I spoke to Mark, my builder friend, colleague, that sort of probably want to up the rate, as I said in the email I sent to you as a sort of follow up, because of if you're going for those kind of open roof forms and glazing, that would put that rate up. Part of the process is just to generate a series of different images for inspiration. So I'll just run through those really just to show you on the screen just some different ideas. So these are generated using sort of AI rendering, architectural rendering packages, just using kind of keywords essentially, just and adding in key images. So these renders actually used as a reference image. This one of the pictures that you sent me, the White House, not the one that you said was maybe what you thought was the best house in Hill Head, which these images were inspired by. So I think using these materials and things within the design, very doable. Slightly different sorts of versions here, more flat roof elements and pitch. I think just useful as a sort of thought-provoking idea, but generally I think gone for something that fits within this sort of this form and this kind of thing, which I think sits with these. Interesting that it generates images like this based on your sort of photo. So that's the kind of route I've gone down aesthetically for now with the proposal.